Hey everybody, it is Friday afternoon and we are going to take at least a partial tour around the yard today. I don't know if we're going to see the whole thing or not. We are still right on the cusp of just exploding into color. I was thinking a little while ago how we're about a week or two away from peak color, and here in this part of the world that term is usually associated with the autumn tree change. But I'm thinking about it in terms now of all the explosion of flowers we're going to be getting here in the next couple of weeks. So there are a few things of note that are worth talking about that are going now that may not be in another week or two. So we're going to have a look at those and maybe just stroll around the yard a little bit and see what's going on. So first of all, we've got our cosmos right here, these pretty little pink flowers. They've opened up finally. We planted them from seed this spring, I believe, or at least I believe my wife did. When I say we. Roses are going nicely. This is a Tropicana to the left. The one to the right, I believe, is just gone back to the original stock root. That's been there since we moved in. It's just a red floribunda, not to discount its beauty. I just have no idea what its actual name is. It's just a red rose. So at the top you can see another splash of red. That is our bee balm that is starting to go. We'll get a closer look at that if we walk around the top there. What we don't have going is a lot of our echinacea, or purple coneflower as it's more commonly referred to. It's starting to go, but we have so much of this that has not yet even begun to go. And we've also got white coneflower in there, and we've got possibly some sort of reddish orange coneflower. I got some seeds from one of my customers, and I can't remember if we planted them last year or this year. And if we planted them this year, we won't see any flowers from them until next year. Again, up at the top, we'll try to get around there and look at all of the Gooseneck Loosestrife that's going. You will see why it's named Gooseneck Loosestrife once you see it. But right here we've got phlox that are not blooming. We've got phlox that are not blooming. We've got, again, all this echinacea that hasn't started to go yet. We've got a big butterfly bush right here. We've got another big butterfly bush right here that is not going. We've got all these really tall spiky looking plants. That's why I actually came out here. I have a viewer that wanted some of these bulbs, all those little black bulbs. Each one of those will grow into a full-grown plant within a few years. You'll have 5, 6, 7 foot tall spikes of these. So my email's down below. If you're interested, hit me up. We can chat and I can get you some of them. I can also dig up little hostas and all kind of sorts of different stuff. So if you see anything plant or flower wise in the yard you're interested in and you live in the continental US, you can contact me and we'll talk about it. In the meantime, if you look at all of these little spikes sticking up, these are all hostas that have not yet gone. Oh, I also got busy talking about my email and selling plants. I forgot to point out the white coneflower. We got a couple of them going right there. And hopefully we will see more than just those 2 white ones, but all the other ones I see so far look to be the purple ones. So I also wanted to have a look at this. This is one of the plants I used to have down near my waterfall tank, and it's a Rex Begonia. Beautiful plant, but you can see we have to keep it sitting on the edge because of this section. I'm debating whether or not just to cut that whole thing off and make a cutting out of this and do a whole second plant, or leave it like that. I think it's got a lot of character like that though. So that had to come up out of the basement. That was getting a little too big for being next to the fish tank down there. This is another one I wanted to point out. One of my wife's planters that she likes to put together. They always look great. But for some reason, whenever we get video of this one, it doesn't come out right. These are, I want to say they're called Starry Night, but they might be called Night Sky. Anyway, you get the idea just by looking at them. But on camera, they come out as a much lighter sort of bluish purpley kind of color than they do in real life. In real life, they're really dark. Not like a deep midnight blue or like a dark purple or anything, but not like what you're seeing right now on camera either. They're much darker than that. And so that name, Starry Night, definitely has more of a Starry Night type effect when you look at them. And I can't even remember what this is, but it's really pretty too. All the underside of everything is all a nice deep purple color. That looks like some kind of salvia. It might be the black and blue salvia, except that does not look like the black and blue flower. That it definitely looks like a salvia flower though. So all of these are Rudbeckia or Black-Eyed Susans if you're from Maryland. That's our state flower. And again, all of these are not quite there yet. They're getting ready to go. In fact, you can see a couple are quite almost there. Not quite though. Loads of Hosta that are not quite ready to go just yet. More of those big, tall, spiky tiger lilies. More of those tiger lilies. And once these actually open up, and these have a long way to go, these little flower buds right there that you see will actually be about this long and about that big around by the time they actually open into flowers. So we've got a ways to go on these yet. You can see some of these are starting to open up, but this will just keep stretching out and stretching out and stretching out, and eventually the top of it will be way up here and there'll just be flowers all down it, and they're about the size of my hand. So it's going to be pretty impressive once you see it. They're sort of a tiger orange color with black spots all over them, which is where they get the tiger lily name. So here's another daylily. This is really what I wanted to look at, was the daylilies today. That is a double head, so that one is awesome. These will be awesome when they open up, and we're going to see a couple more just like them over on the other part of the driveway. Actually, I can see another one similar to it just now, but it's not quite the same. So we've got these red ones that are going. Really enjoying them. They're pretty good size, but they're not huge. Very pretty though. This one, and I'm not sure if this is a different type of daylily, but it's really compact and dense. You can see how big the flower heads are, the flower buds, and the petals themselves are like a real thick, pillowy sort of texture, almost like it's quilted or something. Very interesting sort of texture for a flower petal, and you don't get that on the other daylilies that have this sort of more upright, tall spikes. These just sort of feel like flower petals, whereas those feel like big, poofy, quilted things. Kind of strange. Got hydrangea back there is starting to get some flowers on it. Phlox right there is starting to get some flowers on it. This is one of our big daylilies, but we'll see a couple more of these over by the driveway, so I'm not going to twist around too hard to try to look at that. So all of these orange ones are what I sort of affectionately refer to as the roadside orange, because you see these all over the place and everywhere. And while that is certainly true, they certainly deserve credit for being amazing flowers in their own right. I was talking to my wife about this last night and mentioning it. You take them for granted because you just see them so much and all the time, but if you actually stop and take a look at them for a few minutes and just kind of appreciate it for what it is, they really are beautiful flowers. They're just abundant. They're everywhere. These actually grow in the woods back where I go fishing, so I get to walk and hike through the woods that kind of look like that. Not a bad deal. So more daylilies that are worth looking at. These beautiful, almost like a lemon cream color. These don't have very thick. They're a little bit. They're not poofy like those other ones though. So that's a beautiful daylily. These are more of those huge orange ones. Just massive daylilies. Love these things. No idea what they're called, what the cultivar is, but awesome. This is more of those same sort of lemon creams. A few of the hostas are starting to go. This is another one of my wife's planters that she's put together. That looks beautiful, as they always do. More Black-Eyed Susan, Rudbeckia, whatever you want to call it. This is another one of the daylilies that has the real thick, sort of pillowy kind of petals on it. And likewise, you'll notice how short and squat it is. You can see how big and fat the flower buds are. So again, I'm not sure if that's a different species or what. Over here, we've got this hosta is going. Certain hostas have already started, others have yet to go, so most of them have not yet gone. These are more of the double heads, so those are pretty awesome. Love these. Another butterfly bush, and you can see, you know, that butterfly bush is right there on the edge of ready to go. So it's not going to be long before we're seeing that kind of color too. And of course we'll see the butterflies flying around and bees and the bugs and everything else. All of this is Rose of Sharon. All of this is Rose of Sharon. Can you guess what I'm going to be doing in a little while? It's actually about 93 degrees out here right now. I'm sweating shooting this video. So I think I'm going to wait till the sun starts getting a little lower on the horizon before I get out on the water in the kayak this afternoon, if I go out at all. Honestly, it's really, really hot out here. So let's go up and around and over. We did miss, although I think I got some of these. Again, just all these flower heads not yet blooming. We had a bunch of these lilies already come and go. I don't know if I got those on video. It gives you an idea what they used to look like. They were white and sort of speckled. We still got one flower there that has not yet gone. But for the most part, you can see they're already done. Nothing worth looking at over here. Azalea, flag lily, tiger lilies, and there's probably some stuff on the ground over there. Some sedum, I believe. And sedum almost looks like broccoli when it starts to bloom. It's not a particularly pretty flower, but it's an interesting looking one. More hostas that have started to go. Ferns off to our left, our right. That is a transplanted hydrangea that is now getting flower buds on it. You can see this little one right there. So that's exciting. That means that that transplant certainly took. Again, all these little tiny spikes you see are all flower heads from the hostas. Rose of Sharon, got lots of Rose of Sharons up here too. So once they start blooming, we'll have them everywhere. Oh, through here we got all kind of stuff. Phlox, again, a million hosta. Bee balm is starting to go, but we'll get a look at the bee balm when we get around over here. This is a more older, established hydrangea. That's starting to go. And through here we've got loads of bee balm and phlox and hosta. If you haven't picked up on the theme yet. Got fern. More daylilies down there. Oh, those daylilies are worth going down and having a look at. And I don't know if we're going to go around on the other side of the yard yet, but we are going to stop over here because this just caught my eye. This is another hydrangea. This one's been here for years, and we've debated whether or not to move it. You can hardly even see it. There is a hydrangea under there, and it's finally got a flower on it. I think this is the first time I've ever seen a flower on that, except maybe when we first moved out here 20 years ago. It might have been okay. So that's kind of exciting, at least for me. We'll get to the top side of this garden in just a minute, but we want to come over and look at some of these daylilies. We have quite a few coral bells in here. Looks like we're getting some powdery mildew going on the phlox right there. That's another one of those sort of lemon cream daylilies, but these are not. Step carefully here. These are gorgeous. And so are these. I don't remember these. But they're pretty spectacular. Got more lemon creams back there. That's another one of those double heads. And you can see a bunch more haven't even opened up yet. And then hostas. Got lots of hostas. And what we've been doing is so that I don't have to mow this hill. I know you don't. I'm going to break my ankles here just talking about it. I know it's really hard to get an idea of what that's like, but it's a steep hill when you got to cut across that on the side of a lawnmower. I sit up on the edge of the seat, like the guy, the sidecar on that sidecar motorcycle racing. I got to hang off the side of it to keep from rolling down the hill. So we are definitely letting the hosta sort of flow down the hill as the seed heads come and mature. We don't deadhead them and they all sort of fall down, and the seeds are just working their way down the hill. And the edge of the garden actually is way up here. There's a line of rocks, and we're just kind of letting it flow. So another year or two, 3 years, we're gonna have so many hostas up through here. You can see the same thing here, although I gotta say my wife actually plugged a lot of these in because she wanted specific hostas right in here. And right now I've got just enough room to get one pass with the mower through here, so we can keep our walkway open. And I'm probably going to make it so that I go in and just go down the hill and I don't have to cut across the face of it anymore. So again, that's going to be a few more years in the making. Pink flowers down there are phlox that are starting to open. Didn't even notice them while we were down there. This is all of the Gooseneck Loosestrife. You can wonder no more why it's called the gooseneck. And so this stuff is like a triffid. It grows and spreads, and the only way I even keep this in check is just by mowing it. And I just keep it sort of trimmed in there. My wife has torn huge masses of it out so we can put other stuff in. It grows like crazy, and you can tell we need some rain. You see how sort of wilted everything is, and I'm not talking about that gooseneck curve in the flower. I'm just talking about the actual, you can see physically wilted plants here because it's getting so warm and we haven't had a good rain in quite a while. So we got the bee balm down here. Let's walk on in here and have a look at this a little more closely. There's the bee balm. Really a neat looking flower when you see it up close. It really does look like a firework going off. And the flower is not what smells good on the bee balm. It's the plant itself. It's the balm. It smells so good. The flower doesn't really smell like much of anything. But the butterflies love it. The bees love it. Hummingbirds love it. Hummingbird moths will hit this. Anything that's got a long proboscis, like a butterfly or a hummingbird, will go after the bee balm. And of course, again, the balm itself just smells amazing. So let's walk on back out of here. And we can have a quick stroll over and look at this garden since we're here. And I don't hear any dogs barking or anything yet, so let's cross our fingers. You can see up here we got more roadside orange, daylily, bamboos all coming in huge this year. Now I know this looks like a big open gap area around here, but this is all where the bleeding heart is in the spring, and I've mentioned before, this is still some of the residual leftover. Once the flowers come and go, it kind of looks like a weed, and then by July, you know, it's kind of just turning yellow and dying off. I'm really surprised this is still as green as it is. It normally looks pretty terrible, and in fact, when you look at some of this stuff, you can see it's really starting to go. In another couple of weeks, that's just going to be yellow and dead and just lying all over the ground, and it really winds up leaving a big gap in the garden. Oh, look who it is. I see you over there. What are you doing? Meow. You coming over to say hi? Meow. Meow. Coming over to say hi? Are you showing everybody how cute you are? You gonna show everybody how cute you are? This is Squeeker, if you're not familiar with Squeeker. Say hi to everybody. Meow. Meow. You want to say hi? You just going to show them how cute you are? You're not going to say hi? Meow. Alright, well that was worth coming over here just for that. But anyway, that's why we've got this sort of chunked out gap right here in this part of the garden. We do have some beautiful coral bell, this chocolatey black astilbe, which looks amazing. Love that one. Watch out. And if we come in here, we can see likewise lots and lots of hostas that have not quite gone yet. Our goat's beard, which is all this stuff, is sort of past its prime. That was in my last yard tour. We got to look at all that. So that's already sort of done. Even the astilbe is starting to go past its prime and fade away and brown out a little bit. Got a big old hosta back here. Put that in perspective of how big that is. That's some pretty substantial hosta. Not our biggest, but pretty big. So you up there, you gonna roll around some more? So you can see what I mean with the astilbe is definitely past its prime. But some of the other hostas starting to go. Ooh, I just walked through a bunch of mint, now I can smell it. A bunch of these hostas are starting to go. That hosta looks amazing. I really like this hosta, even though it doesn't have any flowers on it yet. I just love the foliage on that. I honestly am not a big hosta flower person. If they didn't get flowers at all, I would be just fine with them. In fact, the flowers are kind of a nuisance because then you have to deadhead a million flower spikes. I like the foliage. I like them for what they look like as far as the plant itself and the structure and the green and all that. I'd be perfectly fine if the hostas never got any flowers on them at all. But they do, and of course they go to seed, and you get lots and lots of free baby hostas if you do it that way. So this looks like brand new deer damage. I'm gonna have to get over here and spray again. So if that's brand new deer damage, I need to come over here and check my oak leaf hydrangea. We're really trying to grow this in. We just planted it last year and it got hit by deer early in the season. So I do spray deer repellent for a living. That's what my company is. And I got my own repellent out here. And by my own, I don't mean stuff I make. I mean the stuff I use for my customers. And I actually jacked it up to extreme levels and then sprayed over here. And we haven't had any problems since, but it's getting about time to spray again. We need another dose. So we'll get to do that later, I guess. This little section of garden is always my favorite. And his too, because you know he's going to get in there and roll around on all this stuff. So we got all these little tiny micro hostas, and when you start getting your eye in, you'll notice there's a bunch of different little sorts of hostas all over the place. We have very compact astilbe in here. The fern, of course, always looks good. That's Japanese painted fern. And, you know, micro hostas, different micro hostas. These little micro hostas are fantastic. You can see they're getting their little flowers blooming right now. This I do not believe is a micro hosta. I think it's just those plain green hostas. It's just a small one. And I judge that by the size of the flower spike that you got coming off of there. These, of course, are micro hostas. These little tiny things are micro hostas. These are variegated with their flowers coming off of them. We've got more of those right here. We've got what look like mouse ears right there that are blooming. And we've got, I think I just got stung on the back of my leg by something. Yep, it definitely feels like I got stung on the back of my leg by something. I don't know what it was, but it stings. So that's about all I can think of to look at over here. Again, the astilbe is definitely past its prime. Hostas are busy doing their thing. We come up here, we'll get a last look at some more micro hostas. I really like this one. I'm not sure what makes it all crinkly like that, but it's a really good looking one. And then up here we've got a whole bunch of the micro hostas. And that's it. That's all I can think of to look at on this side of the yard. So we'll just make our way back around. It's our planting bench, not really much going on over there to talk about. And this is just another sort of display around an old tree stump that was there when we moved in. We've sort of elaborated on it a little bit, but that was mostly there when we moved in. And that brings us around to where we started. So you under there, what are you doing? You chilling out? It's nice and cool under there. I'm right there with you, buddy. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but it's about 1,000,000 degrees out here right now. I'm sweating. I have some kind of painful, itchy, burny, stingy bug bite on the back of my leg. And I'm going to go inside and put some cortisone on that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. I'm sure Squeeker will be terribly disappointed if you weren't here for the next one. And I would too. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.